What made you decide to help people in real estate? I don't think that we've ever had this conversation. We've had literally, I think, 100 conversations in our career of working together.
It's actually a really interesting story. So I've been self-employed since I was 19. I'm 32. And I got started in business, started a few companies. And one of the companies I started when I was 21 was a real estate company. And at the time, I owned a few businesses, and some of those businesses started to fail. So by the time I was 23, I'm legally bankrupt and I'm asked to leave the real estate company that I started. And I said, what on earth am I going to do? Now, the reality is I was in a real estate environment where most of the agents that we had recruited to the brokerage were like 2 to 3 times my age. So I'm like this young kid talking about video and social advertising and all this stuff. And people are like, you don't know what you're talking about. You got to get out of here. And so I left the real estate company. It was September 13th, 2013. Remember the date because it was a pretty distinct moment for me, and freaked out. I was like, I got no clue what I'm going to go do. I poured my entire life into this company, and now I don't have any association or affiliation to it. And so it was August 13th actually, and then it was September 1st. I started our social media training company. So I'd created this little bitty course that would help an agent understand how to do Facebook ads. And I ran a Facebook ad myself, got on the phone with this woman named Tanya Thompson, and hey, she paid me $1,000 and bought my course. And I had to go finish building the course because it didn't all exist yet. and went in and started helping her implement Facebook ads. And I was blown away because she sold 48 houses the first 12 months that we worked together. She pocketed $148,000 in income. And that first 12 months, helping realtors, I helped about a dozen people, and there were 8 or 9 of them. They made 6 figures in approximately 8 months by just doing this one little Facebook ad. So I started joining masterminds and taking courses and really investing.
What year was that, Grant? Sorry, what year was that?
That was 13 into 14. And so started investing in courses and masterminds and all this stuff. And then it was in 2015, late 2015, we actually built a course. At the time, it was called Modern Agent Mastery. It was a high ticket course, and we would run ads, get people to jump on the phone with us. We'd show them our strategies, and we ended up, I think it was like 1,600 students over the course of 2 to 3 years that we had helped. We've helped sell billions of dollars through these training processes, but we realized the number one problem was the technology. Most of the technology, like at the time, you had to use lead pages and Active Campaign and a CRM and all these really ridiculous tech. And so like, what if we just built something to just do this for people? Like, they're struggling with the technology. What if we could eliminate that hurdle? And that became the obsession. And we built Willie, we launched it, and kind of the rest is history. But I had actually got started in 2013 into 14 because I was in a real estate company and nobody was listening to me. And so the business really we weren't taking off. And I didn't know some things at the time. We'd started a 100% commission-based model here locally. I didn't put the ancillary services component to that together. And so we were just trying to rely on commission income, which isn't scalable if you don't have hundreds of agents. And so the model didn't really work. We actually got a company to come in and take it over. They have like 250 agents now, and they're doing quite well. But that's how I got into helping real estate agents with Facebook ads, because nobody was listening to it at the brokerage I started. So out of necessity, went out and started doing it on my own because I needed to make some money, and then it just took off.
Awesome. Thanks for that. You and I've never talked about that, the origination story, because I met you when you were in the coaching side. So I don't care who you are. I think that we all know that the market's changing. I mean, Mark's been through this a couple times. Like, absolutely 100% the market is changing, because 6-8 months ago, you could get a listing and you could take a Polaroid and put it on the MLS, and the darn thing would sell for 10, 20, 30% above asking, right? And now that's changed. The policy, interest rates are talking about another three-quarter bump before the end of the year. It's going to change everything, right? And Mark and I've talked before about education and being educated as an agent and educate your agents. Well, rates could go up, rates could go down, right? If you get in now, you can always refi. There's a lot of different things, but any coach, any top producing agent, they'll all talk about this 3-legged stool, and this 3-legged stool of your business. So preparing yourself, like preparation is really what's going to separate the winners, I think, from the losers. and whatever winds up shaking out. And having that three-legged stool as far as lead generation, if you will, is going to be critical. So obviously, first and foremost is sphere, right? Sphere of influence, everybody. That's something that you guys should be working on a regular basis in one way or another, whether you're calling them using a CRM or utilizing a product like Whitley to retarget them. That's an area you just can't give up, right? And then whatever choice it is that you want to do for those other two, stick with it, right? Whether that's digital, whether that's sending mailers or farming or you name it. But Grant's expertise really comes around the online lead generation, right? So let's kind of talk about that. And again, before we get going, remember, as the market changes, if you go on the offense, prepare yourself defensively and then go on the offense, right? Now is the time to start taking market share, because there will be a natural attrition in the real estate industry as far as agent count, which allows everybody that utilizes these strategies to pick up more market share. Might require you have to work a little bit harder this year to maintain, but I guarantee that you come out a winner on the end. So let's get into the online lead generation strategies and the things that you are seeing that absolutely works.
I love it, man. Would it be okay to share my screen and just visually show everybody like what is working right
absolutely.
now? Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. So I'm going to share my screen with everybody. Everybody can see it, right? Just want to make sure everybody can see it. So this is actually just a little bit of a case study. I'm going to show you ads and stats of a company that we work with. They went from $3 million in annual production to $33 million in annual production using these really simple but really scalable ad strategies. Okay, there was a formula to their success. And if you follow this formula, you can stop bleeding cash like I know some people are doing from unprofitable lead sources, and you can get more appointments that you can convert into closed deals. I want to make sure everybody understands, for me, this is very simple, and it is something that I've turned into a science. Okay, so remember this formula to have success. If you take it, you can universally apply it to anything that you do. It's attention plus connection equals appointments. And this formula right here, this framework is how I can step into any company. And I work with a lot of the best in the business. I work with Veronica Figueroa's team. They just got #1 for transactions at ESPN again, second year in a row. I work with Kyle Whistle's group. I work with the Gary Ashton team. I work with a number of different companies. I get to see behind the curtain of some really cool companies. But I get to step in and say like, okay, and I use this formula, okay, you got this, but this component is missing. And I'm actually really interested. It's very interesting to me. I'm going to show you the #1 component I see missing in all of even those top teams. You guys can take this and apply. So first thing I want you to remember is attention is the currency of sales. This is one of my favorite quotes. I believe it was Steve Fasinelli that originally said it to me. And attention isn't like likes, comments, shares on social media. Attention is name, email address, phone number. It's actual contacts sitting inside of your database. If you get this right, you get leads that are actually interested in working with you. If you get this wrong, you end up wasting money on things that don't even generate leads at all. And that's what we all need, is contacts that can help us grow our database. So this ad right here, you can literally take it, copy it, and paste it into your business today. It's 11:20 where I'm at. If you have this in place today, you'll start generating leads by dinner. This is the ad. We've had a number of other ads we ran in Josue's business, but this ad right here is the constant. We've always ran this ad for the last 4 years, and we've helped them generate 3,519 leads as a result of it. The average cost over 4 years has been $6.27. What's interesting, Randy, is that in the last 24 months, the average cost per lead has been $3.90. So every day, we're spending about $3.90 to get Josue a name, an email address, and a phone number of somebody that's actually interested in buying or selling a property. What I want you guys to understand is the scientific part of it. So if you take the copy, the hot market alert, we've created a free list. If you take the images, you just literally got five random images of homes for sale. You create a collage image in Canva, which is a free tool. And you run a Facebook lead form ad. You need no targeting, just select the special ad category. You can have success with this ad campaign. And the way that you can guarantee your success is by researching the median home price of sales in your market. So you go to the MLS and say, okay, for the last 90 days, what's the median price point of homes sold? And you're going to get a number. In Josue's business today, it's $349.9. So this is how we go into any market, United States, we go into Canada, we go into India, we go into anywhere in the world that they have a multi-listing service. We can generate leads all over the world. And we can basically guarantee that we can get somebody more names, more email addresses, and more phone numbers that they can add to their database. Your target cost per lead right now should be $3 to $5. So I hear a lot of people ranting saying like, well, Facebook ads don't work. Facebook leads aren't good. Facebook. And I love it because, as you've noticed, for the last 4 years, our average cost per lead is $6.27. But for the last 24 months, our average cost per lead has actually trended down because agents have stopped spending money on Facebook because they don't believe it's a valuable lead source. Nobody really has like the proven system for taking a contact and turning it into a closed transaction the way that we've been able to develop. But it's because of the framework. Attention plus connection equals appointments. And we can do this with any lead source, but this is how we've done it with Facebook. So it's interesting right now, we're generating leads in Naples, Florida, $3.53 a lead, but the homes list is under $959,000, $1 million properties. We got names, email addresses, phone numbers flooding the database every single day. So this ad strategy is the number one thing that you could do on Facebook today that's going to get you names, email addresses, and phone numbers adding to the database. So this strategy, literally just copy paste it. Don't tweak it. Like take it, copy paste it into your business, and it'll get you leads.
Everybody, tell us. Screenshot that. Everybody that's here, screenshot it, take it. Yes. Right, you got it.
Tell us. I want to ask some expansion questions here or some follow-up questions. Tell us how this type of ad and lead generation strategy works in any market.
Okay, so that's a really good question. And I am like I don't mean any market location wise, but also like the trending market, like the way the trends are going now. Like this, will this work? Yep. So the reason this ad has worked for the last 9 years, this is the number one ad we ran. This is the ad we ran on day one to help the Tanya Thompson sell 48 houses. And it's the same ad we're running today. It's never changed. But the reason it works is because of what I call the Zillow method. Right? What did Zillow understand? They understood 2 key points: that you don't market yourself first and that you want to leverage desire over necessity. So I came up with this silly little thing called the Zillow method, leveraging those 2 core points. Now, people say, well, you don't market yourself. Well, the reality is if I wake up today and decide I want to buy or sell a home, I don't immediately think I need a real estate agent. And I don't immediately think that I need a loan. I just want to go look at houses. 75% of people that look at homes on Zillow just there because they want to look at homes. You are not the first thing that people think about whenever they want to sell a home. So stop trying to build a brand because it's not the right time to market yourself. We want to do that second. And when you understand that, you're leveraging the core desire of the consumer, whether they're going to buy or sell. Figuring out your home value takes a couple minutes. Finding a property takes a couple months. Sometimes people a couple years. So we tap into the single greatest desire of people. If anybody's never done this, you should go to Zillow's Facebook page. It's literally just pictures of houses. It's nothing else. It's nothing about Zillow. It's pictures of houses, videos of houses.
Zillow didn't take any of those pictures.
That's why everybody's upset, right?
I don't want that poker.
Zillow took the data, started selling it back to people, but all they did is leverage the core desire of the general consumer, which is giving them a platform where they can look at property. That's why this works, no matter where in the world you're doing it. And that's why even today, if you look back at the recession, if you look back at today where the market's shifted, this is still the number one thing driving lead generation for Zillow is properties to look at. And so, Mark, to answer your question, that's why this ad strategy is our go-to in any market we ever enter. And it's our go-to in any economy because it's leveraging the core desire of people that are actually interested in buying and selling a home. And that is properties to look at.
Now, do you find that these leads are mostly buyer leads or they're mostly seller leads? Intuitively, it seems like buyer leads, but I know you probably get a lot of seller leads from this. So I want to know.
This is actually our little hack for getting seller leads at a fraction of the cost of most people, because statistically speaking, 52% of leads generated are also property owners.
Yeah.
So when we generate a lead for $3.90 and 52% of those are sellers, we're actually getting seller leads for $7. And so it's also a really cool little hack. We don't run like home value ads or stuff like that. We do this strategy instead because home value ads are $12, 18, 24, 36, 52 a lead. We're getting seller leads for $7 on average in Josue's business. And we're doing that same thing all across the country. So this is our strategy for getting sellers too.
Great. So before you go to the next one, I want everybody to understand that, like, if you're buying leads and they're real leads, right? Meaning the real first name, real last name, real email, real phone. And you're buying them for $6.27 or $3.90, right? Those people will at some point buy or sell a home. So think of when you're building your database as like you're just investing in the stock market, right? You're buying these pieces of information to build that database that then you can stay top of mind with, right? And Grant's going to continue on his strategy to show you how to do that automatically. And then they start yielding. So, you might spend $100 a week on ads or whatever the case may be to generate, 60 leads or 50 leads, right? But after a week, and 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 4 weeks, now you get 100. Your database is 100 times bigger potentially than it was before, right? So think about that. And when they start hitting, just think about the return on investment as well, right? They're not going to all hit at the same time. Real estate isn't transactional in that sense. So if you spend, let's just say $100 or $200 and you get a $5,000 GCI type of commission, I mean, I wish that I could gamble that all day long because that's a hell of a return on investment. So just think about the long-term play here, everybody, when you're going into some of these strategies, because that's when they start to yield.
And then, yeah, that's awesome. Go ahead. Was there a question? Was there an answer there from Grant or?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Question here. Median home price will determine ad success.
Yep.
Tell us more.
So, well, just going back to one of the points that I'd made is you want to go into your MLS and see over the last 90 days, what is the median price point of homes sold? That's the specific statistic that you want to go look for. And that is the reason that's the number that we look at is because that's where all the action in the market is happening, right? That's where all the turnover exists. And so you want to go where everybody's playing the game, right? If you go to the luxury price point, you're going to see your number of leads will go down. Your cost of lead is going to go up because there's fewer people swimming in that pool. And if you go actually below the median, if you get $50,000 or $100,000 below, if we were to do a homes list for $250K, his actual cost per lead would be higher because there's fewer people swimming in that pond too. And so that's why we go look at the median price point.
Got it.
All right, go on with your strategy.
So we go back to the framework, right? So the first thing we want to do is get attention, names, email addresses, phone numbers going into the database. But the next thing that is really crucial is creating a connection. And I'm not talking about follow-up per se. I'm talking about relationship, okay? So the relationship that you develop with your leads is what I'm referring to when I'm talking about connection. So if you get this right, people like you and they trust you before you ever even meet them. If you get this wrong, you kind of become the slimy agent that everybody works to avoid. In this industry, one lead or one contact is shared with approximately 9 different realtors. And so you're fighting not so much for speed to lead, but speed to relationship. It's the person that you are able to develop a relationship with that can really help you take off. Real estate agents don't unfortunately have the best perception like in society. A lot of real estate agents generally laugh when I ask if they have the best like public reputation. And it's like, well, no. But the reality is if you get face to face with a customer and like you work with them and you help them close on the house, they end up loving you. So it's not that you're a bad realtor. It's just that you don't have a relationship with that person in the general sense. Consistency in the industry is the opposite. So what we do is something called relationship remarketing. Okay, it's not like we're trying to show people houses that they can look at. It's that we're trying to show them your brand, who you are, what you do, how you can help them. So there's 2 types of videos that we run right now that are just absolutely crushing it. They're educational and they're testimonials. So the educational content, think of that like frequently asked questions. Right now, interest rates are a topic of conversation. Should I wait till the spring is a topic of conversation? All of these points of discussion, I'm sure every single day you're being asked questions by potential buyers and potential sellers that are trying to make decisions about what they're going to do. Each question you are asked is a good piece of video content that you should create. And what we do with that video content is we take it and we don't just post it on social media. We take it and we actually advertise it to the leads that we're generating in the business every day. So we're educating, we're informing them, we're being an authority, we're being the news, right? We're really building ourselves up as the expert in their mind. And then we're using testimonials to do most of the selling work. Third-party validation is the number one component of copy of sales. When you think about buying or selling a product, what's the first thing you do? You go read the reviews, right? And so testimonials are like live review videos where your past customers are talking about the type of experience that they got to have with you. So when a lead comes into your business and they go back to Facebook or they go back to Instagram, they should see videos like this that are educating and informing them, but also showcasing the type of experience that somebody can expect to have in doing business with you. So it's really interesting, Randy, over the last 4 years, we've generated 211,264 through plays for Josue. A through play is a 15-second video view. Over the course of the last 4 years, the average cost per through play has been 0.8 cents, right? It's 8 pennies. How many of you on here, if you're watching this, I love it in the chat, love it on social, how many of you would pay 8 pennies if you could get a buyer or seller in your database to watch a piece of video content that you sent them? That's in essence what's happening.
Probably easier than to get them to open your email newsletter, that's for sure.
100%.
Right.
And so over the course of the last 4 years, we've noticed the average cost per through play is 8 pennies. Over the course of the last 12 months, we've noticed that Josue's cost per through play is about 4 pennies. So your target cost per through play, if you're running what we call a relationship remarketing ad to a lead, it should be about 4 to 6 pennies. If your cost is higher than that, there's two factors. Either the audience isn't big yet. Maybe you only have like 10 leads or 20 leads or 30 leads. So you're going to pay a higher cost to see those people. Or the video content we need to like improve. If you have a ton of people in your database and you're advertising to them, but your cost per through play is high, it usually is an indicator that we need to improve the video content. What we're seeing perform the best right now is short form content, 60 seconds or less from a video standpoint. And as you see, all these videos are edited in portrait mode so that they're made to go on a cell phone. And they've got like the jumpy captions, they've got some stuff that's placed into the video. And so editing your video to that style is what's going to get you higher view rates. Now, Randy, if we go back to the leads, we see there were 3,519 leads. Now, if you take that number and you divide it by the number of through plays, 211,000 divided by 3,500, that gives you 60.03 in the bottom left corner. That is a frequency score. What that means is that one of those leads has seen Josue's video content 60 times. And this is where I always ask the question, how many of you have ever followed up with a lead 60 times? That's why this is so powerful. A lot of real estate agents won't follow up with leads 6 times.
Once.
Okay. 60 times. And that's why this increases the overall conversion rate as much as 200 to 300%. And that's what happened in the Whistle Realty Group. We stepped into Kyle's business, noticed that the connection component was the only thing that was missing. We start running remarketing ads at the leads he's generating. We increase his appointment conversion rate from lead to appointment 65% in 45 days. That's a lot of increase in appointment flow, especially for a top performing team. The way that they monetize that is literally tens of thousands of dollars a month, if not hundreds. And so if you're looking at like taking this, if you're generating leads right now and you're following up with those leads, but you notice that nobody's answering your phone call, nobody's responding to your text, and you can barely get anybody to open your emails like Randy's talking about, this little component is what is missing, the connection piece. And if you can solve for that by pulling out your phone, creating a piece of video content, and then advertising it at those leads, you can drastically change the way that you're able to convert. And I have a couple more things to go into, but I want to open it up, Randy, if you got some questions.
Yeah, so I mean, it's almost smarter like as far as like if you value your time, if you take your leads and you follow up with them here, right? So less follow up inside of your CRM per se, and more where they're spending their time. I mean, if you can hit 1,000 people per week for $20, I mean, it sure beats you sitting down and writing an email or signing up for some generic, some generic type of, like email sequence, if you will, like your face, your brand, your retargeting.
Well, and also, Randy, that is the only differentiating factor in this industry. That's why we call this relationship remarketing, because it's the relationship that you develop with a prospect is what wins you the business. If you look at real estate, everybody believes, yes, this is a relationship business, but there's so few people that are actually creating a connection with the people that they're trying to market and promote to. Everybody has access to Facebook ads. Everybody has access to a CRM. Everybody has access to Dotloop and lenders and title companies. Like, those are all things that are parts of the business that literally almost anybody has access to. What's different, the real unique value, is the connection that you as a human being can develop with the other person. That's the connection component. This is a people business. People do business with people. We're seeing all these other companies that are trying to replace the realtor are failing or losing a ton of cash in the process because they don't have the relationship component to what happens on a hyper local level inside of a community. This is why companies like Zillow still rely on the realtor to drive their business forward, because the agent's the one that can create the relationship. It's just that a lot of people aren't doing it in the online lead space. I don't care if you got a nice car. I don't care if you got a cool website. I don't care if you got the thickest business card in town. Like, none of that stuff matters online. This is a different ecosystem.
Yeah.
So we got to use the only thing that we can, which is the video content that helps you create that connection. We could probably do a whole nother mastermind session on the psychology behind why video works.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. What we find is the video, a lot of agents have been using HighNote to deliver their presentations to either agents, offers to agents, or buyer presentations to buyers, seller presentations to sellers, listing presentations. One of the things that we recommend is putting the video up top, right? Because it generates that relationship. It generates the emotional connection that humans so desperately desire. So rather than just a flat web page, it's a small intro video. And so video is like so crucial and a great hack in this day and age to develop that relationship without being there.
If you look at the psychology, we're all smart people. Everybody watching this is smart. I'm certain, right? You consciously understand that we are having a virtual interaction, but subconsciously the brain cannot delineate the difference between a physical face-to-face conversation and a virtual face-to-face conversation. So when you send a video piece of content to somebody, the neurons in the brain are firing the exact same way as if you were standing in front of another human being talking to them. Right now, you all are consciously aware of the fact that we're remote, but the brain is creating a relationship because we're face-to-face with each other that is no different than if you were to be standing in front of somebody. So there's a lot of psychology behind video. There's a lot of, if we get into, even the reason why this works is something I call the rock principle. And it's really the fact that since everybody was a child in these Zooms and on social, you were programmed to celebritize what you saw behind a TV screen. So if you were watching TV, you're watching ABC, NBC, CBS, you were watching The Rock, you're watching whatever, right? You were building these, what psychologists call parasocial relationships, which is where one person builds a relationship with a character, but the character has no idea the other person exists, which is why I call it the Rock principle. Everybody loves The Rock. He's fourth most followed Instagram account in the world. He's literally universally loved. But the reality is, like, only a few people actually know The Rock in real life. But we will blindly defend this man, right? If somebody says something bad about The Rock or Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Randy Toby or like whatever, right? You are going to sit there and instinctively start defending people that you may or may not even know in real life. That's the power of a parasocial relationship, and that's the power of video content. As people are starting to celebritize, in their mind, realtors or other influencers. Influencers were recategorized as the newest form of celebrity in early 2020 because of the relationship they can now create with people through video content. And so there's a lot of psychology in that. There's a lot of there's a lot of psychology in why video works so well. So I don't want to tangent too far off of it because we could spend a lot. I love talking about that stuff. But the reason that this video content targeted to somebody that's interested in buying or selling a home from you works so well is because they're literally hardwired since they were little kids to develop relationships this way. And it makes a huge impact.
So the reason that everybody here knows or heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Grant Cardone, Wim Hof, Dave Asprey, right? There's a bunch of these people, right? El Presidente. There's all of these people, and you make a super valid point of when you connect, 9 out of 10 people, if we saw them in the airport, you'd probably walk up to them because you've already been indoctrinated, if you will, into their world. Mm-hmm. So what's interesting is you go through this process, right? You're gathering their information, you're retargeting them. You send them a text message, let's just say, or an email with a HighNote, just about you, right? There's another way that you're in front of them. I mean, what happens when you call this person? They probably are like, oh my God, yeah, right? Like I've seen your stuff. I've seen you. I've got all this stuff. Like
exactly.
That's got to be such a better conversation than calling cold Zillow leads. Like it's got to be 100 times better than that awkward, like, yeah, I got your information from Zillow, because you've already familiarized yourself with them.
Yes, and that's going into the next point. If we're good to move on, I'll explain like what happens, because what's happening right now. We noticed this trend a few years ago. Nobody's answering my calls. Nobody's responding to my texts. Nobody's opening my emails, and I don't understand why. This became the crucial missing element in a lot of people's companies. And so what happens is, you remember that the information is really only designed to help you win an opportunity. The relationship is what's designed to help you win the business. When you can create the connection with people, you notice an increase on the sales side. So we go back to the formula, it's attention plus connection equals appointments. So when you start following up, you can turn your agents into highly, highly, highly productive salespeople because of the connection piece. So if we get the appointment part of this right, agents close more deals, they're happier, and they work harder. Every agent I've ever asked if they are happier, if they have more money in their bank account, has raised their hand and said yes, right? So if we're closing more deals, we're typically happier with the way that business is progressing, whether you're an individual or you're on a team or you're at a brokerage. If we get this wrong, what happens is agent avoids sales meetings. They don't use the CRM the right way. They continue to ignore the sales managers or the people that are leading them. And eventually there's churn, there's turnover that exists, teams, brokerages, et cetera. What's happening, Randy, is this is in Josue's business, he didn't have an ISA department. He uses Whitley Lead Assist. So we're actually doing the follow-up, which is an AI plus human assisted follow-up strategy that we implement. This is a live conversation. I opted into Josue's business a few weeks back when I was in Lake Tahoe. It's like 4:30 in the morning. What we're noticing is right now we're having an approximate 58% conversation rate on leads. You guys go back and track this for yourself. I can almost guarantee that your conversation rates are going to be between 12 and 24%, right? This is a huge difference. We're seeing an average 17% qualification rate, meaning that approximately 10 of every 100 leads that we generate want to be set up on a home search with you. They want you to tell them what their home is worth, which is really impactful. We're seeing a 40% appointment rate, which is meaning 4 of those 10 leads actually wants to set time to meet with you. And that's what's happening in Josue's business. And we're seeing an approximate 50% conversion rate, meaning that 2 of the 4 appointments convert. Now you go back and you look at the numbers. If he's currently generating a lead for $3.90 and he's getting 100 leads and closing 2 deals, that means his cost to acquire is in the hundreds. Like we're literally spending like 390 divided by 2, right? Whatever the math is there. It was at 100, 50 plus,
200
right?
bucks.
Yeah, call it $200. How do you pay $200 to get a $6,000 commission check like Josue's doing? Everybody in the world would do that, right? And we're consistently encouraging him to spend more money. But what we're seeing is that when we step in and we let the AI do the qualification work, a human steps in at the right time, sets an appointment for Josue, he's happier because he doesn't have all the overhead and stress of the ISA team, right? It's literally just Whitley Lead Assist and a database manager. He doesn't have the stress and strain of actually doing the follow-up because he wasn't doing a good job of it anyway. We've worked with him for 4 years. We haven't always done his follow-up. And he literally just shows up to appointments now and he signs listing agreements and he's happy. And he's also able to focus on all the other recruiting stuff and all that stuff he wants to do. So what's interesting is because we're getting leads a certain way, low cost, because we're creating a connection, we see this massive increase in conversation qualification appointment rates, which leads to higher conversions. So I want to teach you guys, if you're not experiencing a 58% on average conversation rate, let's call it 50 to 70%, what you need to fix is the initial text that you send to your prospects whenever they opt in. We've noticed that's the number one lever to pull. It's the emails aren't as impactful, the calls aren't as impactful, it's the text that you send because text is driving appointment conversion. So if you're not getting a 58 of 100 leads to actually talk to you, it's the text that you want to change that initially goes out whenever they first opt in. Secondly, if you're not getting a 17% average or 40% average qualification and appointment rate, what we've learned is that the number one thing you need to fix is your communication strategy in text format. A lot of times, if you look at how you guys text your friends and your family and your spouses and your partners and all that other stuff, you send like emojis to communicate, right? You barely even use words. But for some reason, when an agent goes to follow up with a lead, we write a Bible book.
Email. Yeah. You're like, don't send me an email or a text.
We're sending these massive like text messages to clients, and that Facebook is disruptive forms of advertising. This isn't high intent leads. This is a disruptive, like we're disrupting their focus. So if you send them a book, they literally just write you off. They don't respond to you. You want to change up your text strategies, which means you want to change up the way you're asking questions and doing some of those things. So if your conversation rate is low, fix the initial text. If your qualification and appointment rate is low, you want to develop some text-based communication skills. And then lastly, if you're getting appointments but you're not closing deals, that's sales skill development. There's something happening in the appointment where you need to just develop your sales skills. I want you all to notice that I did not say at any point of my interaction with you a second ago, if you aren't getting this right, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're lazy, you must just not be good at this. Okay, you got to get that crap out of your head, especially as you enter a recessionary period, because your mindset is going to be the thing that really pushes you through the next couple of years. I said you need to fix this part of your follow-up. You need to fix this part of your communication. You need to fix this part of your sales skill. You need to invest in some sales skill development. None of this stuff means that you're not any good at what you do. It just means you need to learn more about what it is that you're doing so that you can improve the set of results that you're getting. You're not bad, you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not stupid. I want to really overemphasize that because I think real estate agents can get a bad rap because it's like, well, we can't get agents to follow up. Well, it's because the results they're getting aren't very good and nobody's teaching them how to improve. So we want to really make sure that we're investing the right way.
And as great as a career as it is, right? Agents are forced now to do more than ever. You know, you go back, like I love talking to people that have been in the business 30, 40, years. And it was just such a different business. You know, you didn't have social media, you didn't have this, you didn't have these, you didn't have all of this extra stuff that just keeps getting piled on the agents. So they're not, agents are not lazy. They just got to do so much freaking stuff. And
it's actually the opposite, Randy. I agree with you. The average agent has 20 different job roles and responsibilities. A job role and responsibility is typically something that is done by one person 40 hours a week. So if you flip the script on that, you really only have enough time to focus 2 hours on a task that somebody else is spending 40 hours focusing on.
Right.
So when you do the math, you're kind of like universally set up to fail if you're not creating different leverage points in these different components of your business. So I agree with you.
Yeah. And what I've seen, talking to a couple clients over at HighNote, they're converting like those cold Zillow leads because they're not utilizing this strategy, but they're like, hey, how the heck do I stand out? Well, they're doing a HighNote with the video, their team, about them, the areas that they focus, like a Calendly type of link. And they're coming in just saying, hey, this is where your information came from. I'd love to help you out. Here's a link with everything that you need to know about me. I'm here for you. And then the people come back because they're either A, not getting calls from the other people, or B, they're getting bombarded, right? Using Maria as an example, because I can see her on the screen. I've got to actually experience Maria by going through some of her stuff because I did click on the link. Yes, I was looking at houses and she actually focuses in on an area. I like what she's saying. Like, that's thinking outside the box. I can guarantee that your competitors are not sending stuff like that to them, right? 100%. So you're separating yourself, making it easy, short, not a email, right? Hey, this is where your information came. This is why I'm reaching out. Here's everything that you need to know about me. I'd love to talk with you, right? Yep. You don't have to
imagine if they combined both systems, Randy.
What's that?
Imagine if they combine both systems.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, you'd probably increase conversion even more so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So getting back to it, what we do in Josue's business, this is the AI human assisted follow-up. So he has a dashboard that he logs into every day so he can see what's happening. He gets a snapshot in real time. He can click any of these numbers and it takes him to a list of like if he has 5 appointments, he can click the number 5 and it'll show him the 5 appointments that were set in September. If you look at the conversation that I was having with him using AI, all of that is actually created right here in a ledgered format so he can see the conversation. He gets a lead summary. He knows exactly what I was saying, specific to what it was that I was looking for. All that information is pushed right into his Follow Up Boss account so he can actually see the conversation in his CRM. He doesn't have to even log into the Whitley platform to see that stuff. There's a profit maximizer here that I always like to bring up. I think this is one of the most undervalued positions in real estate. And what we realized is that when we started using a database manager, so or a CRM manager in Josue's business, we actually started setting appointments at a higher rate. It was like 8 to 12%. And the reason is we've got literally a VA. His only job is to live in Josue's CRM 40 hours a week. He makes sure that all the contacts are properly organized. He makes sure that the pipeline staging is properly set up. He makes sure that Josue is actually doing what he's supposed to do. He talks to Josue after every appointment and he leaves notes. Like, the database manager was such a crucial hire I advised Josue to do, because I'm like, dude, you need somebody that's just literally living in your database. And this guy makes Josue literally an extra $10,000 a month by himself. And all he does is like live in the CRM and make sure that it's organized. Which is
that like an offshore
awesome
person in-house?
Yeah. It was a VA that he had hired through a company that is in the Philippines, and he doesn't have a ton of client interaction, but he will, in a written format, will reach out to a prospect through Josue's CRM, so Josue can actually watch what he's doing on every single contact, and he'll reschedule appointments. He'll make sure that, he just makes sure that everything is managed. And so this is something that we saw was really a high impact role, was a CRM manager.
That's a really cool, I really like that role. Like, because so many people just aren't data, like I've
100%.
built plenty of sales teams, and getting reps to go in and like enter that they called, they made a note, they did this is like pulling teeth. And I get it, you guys, it sucks. Like, if you could get somebody for, between $5 and $10 an hour, a couple hours a week, even doing that makes a heck of a lot of sense.
Makes a huge, this is Josue's setup, right? So he didn't want to build an ISA department. That's a big investment, and it may fail. Like, it's $250,000 risk.
It's a nightmare.
1,000%. So what he did is he said, let's turn on Whitley Lead Assist, and then let's hire the database manager. So literally, if I go back and look at the cost analysis on everything, he's for like, it's like 1/10 of the cost of an ISA department. He's getting a more effective result with less headache, less stress, less energy. He's not having to manage a ton of people because we're the best at what we do. We taught the we taught the VA how to be the database manager. So we're managing things together. And this is his setup. He doesn't have an ISA department, which makes it really easy for him to go out and nimbly keep his costs low, but he doesn't have to sacrifice. They wrote about us in Forbes a couple of years ago. It was really allows you to achieve or implement really quality marketing and advertising strategies without sacrificing the effectiveness of using like a marketing agency or something like that. And so that's exactly what's happening here. Is he's not having to hire this team to get all this quality output. He's literally got Whitley Lead Assist and a database manager he pays $5 an hour, and it's pumping out appointments for his business, which is awesome. So I wanted to give everybody a gift, and I want to make sure that this scans, Randy, but this is our lead management playbook. So this is literally, it's scanning. So this is literally the playbook that we implement for lead-based follow-up. There's no opt-in required here. You literally just download a PDF right to your phone. It's going to give you the ISA job role responsibility, or if you're wanting to hire an ISA, it's going to give you our.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's going to give you our pipelines and stages. So what to do with a new lead, what to do with a hot lead, what to do with a warm lead, what to do with a cold lead. It's going to show you the contact communication cadence. It's going to show you everything you need to do. And then we also have a 26-page document inside of there that you can click. It's going to give you the text. It's going to give you the emails. It's going to give you the calls, and then the entire timeline. You can map out your entire year of follow-up if you take this and you swipe it. So there's a really high value swipe file that you can grab that will help you basically build your database management platform. So anybody who wants to, feel free to download that. You have to go back and watch the recording. I'm going to show you guys this in action. So Randy, a lot of times I get people like, okay, this all looks great, but how do I put it into action? So I want to show you in one map what this looks like. So if we go back to the framework, remember attention plus connection equals appointments. Let's see what it looks like in real time. So this is the client journey. Imagine that a lead comes in from Zillow, lead comes in from Realtor, Ylopo, Facebook, Instagram, Whitley, whoever's helping you get leads. And they're added to the lead stage or lead list inside of your database. Now we have something called a remarketing integration with Follow Up Boss, so we can dynamically automate this. As soon as that contact goes back to Facebook and Instagram, they should start seeing video content from you that's designed to help you build a relationship. You want to keep emailing them, keep calling them, keep texting them. And as a result, you should develop a system for setting a lot of appointments. So let's say you meet with a client or a prospective client and they're hot, they're ready to go, which 1 to 2% of the leads you generate from Facebook right now should be. And so you add them to the hot lead list. You go out, you list their home, they become an active client, and then you start showing the property, right? Let's say you sell the house, get to the closing table. That right there is when you should get your client testimonial videos, right at the closing table, right at the house when they walk in for the first time, document it for them, turn it into a cool video that you send to them that they can share with their family. They'll actually be excited about it. And then they become a past client in your database. And so once they hit the past client stage, none of this stuff should stop. The experience should just change. Instead of them seeing like content that's designed to convert them, they should see content that keeps you top of mind. The number one thing I hear from people, I'll go to travel all over the country, Randy, and we've been on the road together a little bit. I'll walk into a gym and somebody will walk up to me like, oh, hey, Grant, I've seen your Facebook ads every day for like the last 5 years. That is by design, homeboy. Like, I want to show up in front of your face every day. Sometimes people don't realize you have to market your existing customers just as hard as you market customers you're trying to get. And if you do that, you can really pick up a ton of referrals. So we want to keep showing them up on Facebook. We want to keep showing up on Instagram, keep emailing them, keep calling them, keep texting them, host the client events, send them the gifts. And if you do that right, every deal you do is worth at least 2 more in this industry. So you can take one deal. Josue, this is what's happening at Josue, including our operational cost. He's spending about $510 to get a customer. So he's spending $500 to get a customer to pay him $6,000. And then he's getting referrals from those people. So the deal that he's already profiting on is then also turning into this highly profitable referral source.
Yeah, and the 500 is everything considered.
Like, that's operational
right,
cost,
like that's
cost,
office, that's all expenses.
This is great, Grant. The way we used to do it before Facebook was popular was we would train all of our agents to move into the building that they were selling. And there were high rises, right? In San
Yes.
So that was my strat. I moved into the biggest condo building in San Francisco. So every time I threw out the trash, every time I went to the gym, every time I went to get the mail, I was doing marketing. Awesome. But what you're doing is obviously next level because it's digital, right? So you're reaching many more people and you don't need to move into your neighborhood or building, but it's the same thing. You know, you lose. Yeah, I forget the stat. I think you just mentioned it, but it was essentially sellers and buyers, they forget the name of their agent after a year.
Yes.
So if they forget the name of the agent after a year and then you stop being top of mind to them, well, you know what? Who's going to get that next deal? The agent that's marketing to them in the neighborhood 100%. Now.
That's the other thing to recognize, guys, is if you're not doing this, your competitor is.
Or doing something else. Yeah, exactly.
If you're not doing it, your competitor likely is. So last couple of things that I noticed that I just want to hint on, because I know many people try to take from this and implement. We've noticed that it should take you less than 90 days to perfect this whole system. And that's mainly because we just help people copy paste, put it in place. We're seeing it's taking teams and agents an average 25 days to get their first appointment. And then Randy, we're also seeing it's taken an average of about 41 leads. So 41 leads or 25 days seems to be the mechanism for whatever is happening as far as like getting the first appointment in the business. But I did want to give a gift to everybody. So I don't know if anybody can in the chat section answer this question. Does anybody want an appointment this week? Would anybody love if I could help you get an appointment in your business this week? Would that be impactful for anybody? I'm seeing the chats light up, Randy. I don't know if anybody's saying yes or not, but I would assume that there's
Suzanne,
some yeses.
Will,
okay,
Maria.
Send this text to your database. Anybody that you know is not a hot lead, they're not going to buy or sell in the next 60 days. Send this text, not to your sphere of influence past clients either, but send this text to your database. Fill in the blank. If you could sell your house for blank, what would you sell it for right now? This text is one of the top performing texts that we send out. We send this out in Josue's business once every 4 or 5 weeks. And as a result, he literally, every time we send this text out or one of our other top performing texts, he gets 2 to 3 listing appointments. He's got a really high success rate of grabbing the listing and then double ending the deal. So he'll take the listing, he'll list it, and then they need to buy something else. So he'll get them on the upside. This text is very, very, very good. If you got a database, send it. The best time that I've seen to send this text is either Thursday at 6 p.m., your local time, or 12 o'clock on Saturday at noon. Those are the 2 top performing times that I've seen that you could send this text and have a lot of results. It's going to generate a ton of conversations. And then you work through those. We call it our beehive strategy because it's like walking up and punching a beehive. You start getting all kinds of response going back and forth. So you need like an hour or so after you send the text to respond to everybody. But this is one of the most high value things that we do in his business to get appointments at scale. So this is another thing that you could do. So I don't want to go into a big pitch here. I think everybody kind of gets the point, but you guys get all this right. You can really win big in doing this. And I just wanted to be here to answer any more questions that somebody might have, Randy, as far as putting something like this in place. Want to make myself and my team available. If you scan this code, you can book an appointment with me and we'll walk through what it looks like to put some of this stuff in place if you want to. But we'd love to open up for questions.
For sure. If anybody wants to connect with Grant, you can find him on Instagram, you can find him on Facebook, you can find him on YouTube, or you can go check out Whitley for sure. Because I know a lot of people they don't want to do anything. They don't want to do anything. It's not that they don't want to do anything. They don't want to have to implement this themselves. That's what I mean, right? Yeah. So,
couple questions here. Suzanne White is asking, are you seeing any differences in Canada compared to the US?
No, we are actually not. The only nuance in Canada that we're seeing is the new regulation, and it's not impacting everybody. But Canada just rolled out this really funky regulation for solo listings. So when you market an individual listing, you actually have to get somebody to fill out a legal disclaimer before they can view the property. And so that created a really funky means of like marketing and advertising when you're marketing solo listings. So we actually do have clients in Canada. We work with some incredible people in the Remax community, in the EXP community, in those areas. And if you take this and you implement it, it can work no matter what you. This is why I love what we teach, Randy, because it's principle, right? Attention plus connection equals appointments. Well, if you take that methodology and framework, you could do billboard ads, you could do radio, you could do TV, you could do Google ads, you could do YouTube, you could do LinkedIn. It wouldn't matter. You can take the framework and apply it any way that you try to get customers, and it's going to work. So yes, we've had success in Canada, and we've had success in every other part of the world we've worked.
Awesome. Cool. If anybody else has any more questions, please feel free. I know we went long today, but there was a lot of cool stuff, I think, to cover. And again, moving forward, it's time to go on the offense. Like, there's some really good opportunities to get in, especially when we're seeing other people cut back. Now is the time, for sure. So I really appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you to everybody who's watched this here live, later on YouTube, you name it. Thank you for everybody who spent this hour with us. We really, really appreciate your time.
Thanks again, Grant.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Randy. I appreciate y'all having me.
Want to keep getting tips? Hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching, and we hope you get a lot out of this.